Welcome to the Combot Collective.
Hello and welcome to the Combot Collective, the podcast covering everything in the world of robot combat, from BattleBots to the live circuit, from the heavyweight class to the fleetweight class. I am your host, Sterling Brown, also known as Query to 300th Online, former writer at Third Law Sports and current BattleBots subreddit moderator and runner of King of Draft. Here along with me, I have just two other members of the crew, one from the US and one from the UK team.
Yeah, so I'm Pory, and I like robots. You can find me here usually.
I'm Prime, I'm the Scottish one, and the dinosaur guy. Those are your two stereotypes. That's the people who
Yeah.
have usernames as let everything
P boys, maybe not.
Yeah,
that
this
name.
is the P
No,
podcast.
let's not call ourselves
The P boys.
The P boys. There you go.
No.
The P team.
No.
Juicy piss.
Even worse. This is also a fantastic start.
Team PP.
The Team
man.
PP.
I'm sorry.
There we go.
Yeah.
Can I get my one PG-13 fuck out of the way with that?
Yeah.
Oh man. Killer Peas. We'll go with that one.
Sure.
Well,
that sounds less water sports, so that's good.
Doesn't sound as horrible, right? But these are the only two people brave enough in our group to tackle this topic. It's an interesting one. It's part 4 of 4 of our introductory episodes, part of our top 5 robots and our top 4 all-time fights, and now we're capping things off with the biggest picture possible, our top 3 overall robot combat events, which can go from live events to Robotica, King of Bot, any big event like from Robot Wars or BattleBots. We have all sorts of unique callbacks to moments, battles, and scenes from these episodes that we all know and love as we enter this top 3. And after this episode, we'll be coming at you guns blazing with the debut of our studio set up in the next week, as we come with you with our analysis of the 2021 Robot Ruckus event, which recently finished, and hopefully start doing our 2021 BattleBots preview episodes. These preview episodes will be using our 2021 BattleBots info sheet, which you can find on our social media pages. And speaking of those, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, or join our Discord server, and you can watch, download, and rate and review our podcast and our video show on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, Player FM, Stitcher, Podchaser, and Deezer. So now, dive into our top 3 events as we jumping into my honorable mention here. Talking about this one real quick, I understand that there's a cursed connotation with this event. I listed here, and I'm not defending this. I know what happened behind the scenes. I know it was like a half year filming period, and there was like 20-hour filming days. That being said, I think ClashBot is seriously underrated. It's probably the most easy to understand Chinese event format besides King of Bots 1. It had some amazing robots which had some amazing runs like Spicy Newt or Poison Arrow. Ripper made an appearance. Gabriel made it to the finals as Excalibur. And even other names like Hyena, Ironside 3 competing as Outlaw. And the event also spurred a lot of stars, new stars such as Dark Wolf, and some other Chinese robots which stole the show, like Atomic Bomb, Soul Reaper, and Toxic Fangs. Dark Wolf especially, yeah, that robot ended up winning the whole event. It fought like 17 times throughout the entire competition. ClashBots was like ruthless with that. It was absolutely fantastic. I wish they would appear on BattleBots, but I'm pretty sure ClashBots still owns the robot. The event, though, had a bunch of wonderful ideas. It had progressively difficult arenas to fight in, starting in a basic box and going to like a full-on BattleBox replica by the end. The Tower Breakdown Challenge was unique. The Fight to the Finish mock-up was like bootleg, but it was still very, very charming. It was the first time anyone's ever attempted that since Robotica. And an all-time favorite of mine, which I bring up a lot, was the 3-robot gauntlet. It was really cool, especially during Spicy Newt's run, where it knocked 3 robots out in like less than 3 minutes. And while Clash will probably never see another season, probably for the better, I am quite fond of this strange competition. And, you know, if they ever want to try it again with like only Chinese competitors, I would be down. I would still watch it, but I certainly don't think any other US or UK robots here would ever try going over there again unless they were paid a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they could be promised to be paid, $1 trillion, but I mean, there's always that chance that they'll just get stiffed,
Right.
I would do it only if like I get to keep my robot as well as get to keep the KFC. That's all I would do.
You've already lost them with the keeping the robot part.
Yeah,
But,
that's a deal breaker.
But that KFC, I mean, everyone roasted the KFC, but that chicken pizza on like episode 5 looked really good. I still think about it a lot.
Sorry, like clash thoughts with the
Man.
whole we've got the KFC and everyone's gonna be fed the KFC. Get that shit out of here, BattleBots. If you want me on there, force feed me Wendy's. There you go.
Sponsorship deal of the century.
Yes.
Jurassic World out of here. We'll get Wendy's in here.
Oh yeah.
GMC out of here too.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind if Universal allowed me a sponsorship, mainly so they could get the fuck away from my dinosaur stuff, so I can do dinosaur stuff. But yeah,
Well, wasn't OD BattleBots sponsored by like Applebee's or something weird at one point?
It was sponsored by Final Fantasy at one point.
I know, sponsored by Final Fantasy. You had
Taco
like
Bell.
3D Doritos,
Taco Bell
3D
was
Doritos
sponsored by Taco
sponsored.
Bell.
Oh yeah, Taco Bell.
Bell.
They were sponsored by Taco Bell.
They're saying like
And,
think outside the box instead, and I was like, that's cool, creative, y'all, good work.
And Circuit City sponsored them for a while.
They were on their last limbs then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now moving to my number 3, I'm going to keep this one short because I think someone else in here has it. The recent one. I honestly, you look at my number 3, my number 2, and my honorable mention. 2018 to late 2017, great era of robot combat. My number 3 is Robot Wars Series 10. Even though it's not the highest rated Robot Wars series, for obvious reasons. Easily the series that had the best quality of fights. Look at stuff like Androne 3000 versus Tauron, Carbide's melee with Gabriel and Carbide's melee with Nuts, the Apollo versus Behemoth fight, of course, and even the grand final. I usually don't care much for hosts, like being them cut into the host, having them be a key part of fights. I think Dara and Angela's reactions really did add like a genuine excitement to matches. You can tell that they were in on it as much as anybody else. Added that electricity, they added to the scene. Jonathan Pierce, of course, he can make golf exciting. Every heat winner was absolutely memorable. Carbide was dominant. You had Cinderella stories with Behemoth and Nuts. Eruption snuck into the grand final after playing the 10 Robot Rumble, which was also a fantastic addition, super well. And it's easily my favorite Robot Wars series that isn't partially led by nostalgia. Everything about the series was perfect, besides that international special. Even that had a wonderful cameo from Team Toad, which is probably the Team Texas is best known for. And it brought the legendary Detour back, which ultimately brought the robot out of retirement full-time. And yeah, that's all I will say on Series 10, because I don't want to bury it later. Fantastic series. Absolutely love it. So now we'll move on to Pory's honorable mention and number 3.
So my honorable mention is going to be Robot Wars Extreme Warriors Season 1. Just because that was like my introduction to Robot Wars. Because we didn't, in the US, it wasn't on any of the TV channels I had. It was on what was on TNN?
Yeah, TNN, National Network or something like that.
Yeah, so it was on TNN. It was like an Americanized sort of Robot Wars hosted by Mick Foley, and I don't know, it was a lot of fun. There were a lot of fun fights in it, and like a lot of robots that I just remember really fondly, like General Chompsalot. General Chompsalot's great. Panzer, Tricerabot, Rosie River. Like, you had all these iconic robots, and it was. I feel like that back then, like it was like a Saturday ritual for me. I usually my Saturdays went. I'd wake up. I'd do my job because I had a paper route at the time. And, I'd go buy some games, I'd play the games, and at night, I'd watch Monster Jam, and then I'd watch Robot Wars Extreme Warriors. Or maybe it was the other way.
Combo.
It was a combo either way, and, like, it was a nice time in my life. It was just a lot of fun to watch, but yeah. Apparently that's Mr. Redman's number 1, so that's cool. I'm looking at the list right now.
It's a shame you couldn't make it in, but yeah, man, it's a fantastic series. I'm a big wrestling fan, so when I saw McFoley on there, I was like, whoa, it's McFoley. Everyone loves Jonathan Pierce, and he's fantastic. Stephen Frank does deserve his credit. He's got like that voice. I can't even. I like
the
voice.
Stronger man.
He's got like Stephen Frank is just like so American that I would be surprised if that man, if I saw that man in person, he did not just have like a bald eagle, just like fully on his shoulders, fully dressed in the American flag. Like, he has that voice that's just so American.
His voice reminds me of all those like Power Rangers monsters in the 90s, like how they talk like that. Like they'd all talk like the announcements in Robot Wars Extreme Warriors.
For me, that's just the kind of typical American announcer.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It was just a class, and like I was never I mean, I've gotten a little more into wrestling in recent years, and I should probably go down the rabbit hole. But like, that's what I knew Mick Foley from. Like, somebody was like, "Oh, I watched Mick Foley wrestle." I'm like, "What? The Robot Wars guy wrestles?" Because I was just so out of the
Robot
loop.
Wars legend. I just looked sniffing Frank up. He looks nothing like I thought he would.
Does he not look American?
It looks like a British game show host. That's accurate, right?
Do you have the picture?
Hello, welcome to the Plunge or whatever y'all's shows are.
I mean, yeah, I can see what you mean.
Where's the cowboy
Like
hat?
one earring.
Yeah, where's
Yeah,
his cowboy hat? That's
Where's the cowboy hat? Where's the bald eagle? Where's the American clothes? I'm so upset now. Ah.
Yeah. But I mean, he did. He sounded like an American Jonathan Pierce, about as good as you're gonna get.
Yeah,
This is iconic. You connect it with Robot Wars Grand Champions and Extreme Warriors. And when I played Arenas of Destruction, I had it on PC. They had his voice instead of Jonathan Pierce.
Oh, really? Oh, I guess because that got a US release in PC, but I have the PAL version on the PS2, and I'm pretty sure it's Jonathan Pierce in that.
Yeah.
I think.
I never played Extreme Destruction on PC. I wonder if they imported his voice in that one, because that one actually had the US robots.
I mean, I don't know, because I have Extreme Destruction on the Game Boy Advance, but I don't remember if there was actually like commentary in it. I wouldn't be surprised if there was, because that game is like insanely ambitious for the Game Boy Advance. Like, it's like pretty much in full 3D almost. Like, it's like straight up polygons and stuff. It's a crazy game.
Yeah. But you're number 3, Pory.
My number 3, and Zaza's gonna be very proud of me for this. It's King of Bots 1.
Bots 1. I'm happy about this too, because I'm glad China's getting this respect here.
Yeah, like I mean, I'll always go on record by saying I don't like the format of King of Bots 2 at all.
Oh man!
I mean, the fights are so great.
Nobody does.
The fights are wonderful, but like at least with King of Bots 1, it was just like bracket, easy to follow, even though I didn't understand the language, and there were a lot of really fun fights to boot, and like I feel like it had more fun like low tier robots too, like the freaking like Violent Dragon. Like he's just like, it's just such a funny thing to watch.
Don't bring up the backstory with Violent Dragon, but it's a great robot.
It's sounding like they aren't coming back to the game, unfortunately. But yeah, so there was a lot of really fun fights, and plus it was just like nice to see Megabyte like become like an icon in China. Now they're like
it's really
a Chinese celebrity.
Seriously, them and Team Sabretooth with Tianchi.
King of Bots 1 had on the Chinese robot side, you had let's be real. I'm gonna be harsh to them. A little bit lacking in designs. I mean, you had the meme lords of the Stegodon pair. Then you had like just very blocky robots, but then you also had some really nice ones. I believe it's called Hurricane. It was like a full body spinner. It had this really cool cage design to it. I really liked that one. I'm so sad it was just like lost its fight. Yeah, he also had Greedy Snake in the original Saber, which is really cool. And
original Saber was awesome.
Yeah, and then on the British side, and like just the international side, fucking Spectre.
Oh yeah.
It's the modern equivalent of Razor in every way. It really is.
Exactly. I mean, it's just
Spectre,
like
quantum,
pure
whatever you want to call it. It's
engineering.
a beautiful robot.
Plus, it was really nice to see a Crusher win a full on competition. What year was that? 2018?
2017, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, okay. But it was so cool to see a Crusher win a championship in such a modern series, you know, like that was always really cool to me. And you know, all the robots, like, you know, you have your really cool creative designs. You have your robots that are built by people that you know you're familiar with from BattleBots and Robot Wars. Then you have the robots that are like blatant ripoffs of like popular BattleBots, like the Son of Waiachi ripoff robot that Spectre fought and stuff. Like there's all sorts of there's a lot of fun variety in it.
Absolutely, and some of those Chinese robots really did end up growing to become huge deals in the scene. Like Golden Sunwheel ended up becoming Shaku. Snake became Greedy Snake. Of course, you have Saber, is still China's top flipper, and Double Barbecue, another one that's probably going to end up on BattleBots sooner rather than later. I know they've been working.
Yeah, because they were talking about it. Yeah, I think my favorite part about King of Bots is probably the Thunder and Lightning run. Like it's just a wholesome father-son team just vibing, you know, just building this multi-bot, and then they make the semi-final. I do too. It was just really wholesome seeing like this father-son team. They weren't there to win, probably. They were always just there to vibe, but then they end up making the semifinals anyway.
Heck yeah. I mean, one of the best clusterbot runs we've seen in the past decade. Can't think of another one.
Yeah.
I know Crash and Burn made Robo Games semifinals once. This was a big event.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like King of Bots was more competitive than Robo Games, probably. Well, maybe by a little bit.
It was definitely a bigger deal. I mean, this was was China's first ever major. It was on a huge stage, and they brought in some big names. To the point where I had to set up rules like game show rules in China, where you cannot have this many internationals. Y'all gotta chill out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Pory's number 3. Let's go down to you, Prime, with your number 3. I know you.
Yep, with number 3, and also an honorable mention, like a last minute one, because I realized there's like a competition we kind of missed, and honestly, yeah, it has a bit of nostalgia for me. The 2016 BattleBots is going to be my honorable mention, because that's really the comp where I would see all these different clips from it, and maybe we go, wait a minute, the hobby isn't just UK based. What's all this America stuff? Well, they look cool. Wow. I gotta look into this more, and so now I'm also looking into BattleBot stuff as well, and now BattleBot's the place to go for robot combat. And yeah, in 2016 also had some really cool robots. Like Escape Velocity is probably up there for me. I want that robot's return. It looked amazing.
Super underrated. I love that bot.
Yeah, you also
Pennsylvania bot apparently.
Yeah, you also had the debut of Minotaur, which like I think everyone knows. Just everyone's seen the clip now of Minotaur.
Who's that?
You know, the blacksmith fight, and everyone just like...
Who's Minotaur?
Shit.
The one with the taser?
The one with the taser, yeah. It's an electricity weapon.
The thing I find quite amusing is there's so many robots there that nowadays we know as being the ultimate destroyer, the ultimate ass-cheek terrors. But they had just terrible debuts in 2016. You had Sawblades and Scorpios that just turned up and just did nothing. Rotator, lasted 10 seconds, if that. But you just had so many robots, which nowadays, when people hear of them, they go, oh, I don't want to mess with that. But now their debut, and also Death Roll as well. Death Roll was there. And it got messed up by Captain Shredderator of all things.
Oh, it was a brutal.
Well, at least Scorpio, Sawblaze, and Rotator showed that they did have potential in the exhibition rumbles they were in.
I remember seeing that rumble with Rotator for the first time and thinking like, oh my god, it could do
that thing actually does do something.
Yeah, and of course you even had like other robots that were like debuting that just everyone took notice. Yeti, Minotaur, Blacksmith. Like Warhead returned with a giant T-Rex skull so quickly. Obviously, that one became crap. I love that.
Amazing.
Evolved
and Overlord too.
Yep, Evolved Overlord, which had the return of Mortis's guy. It's just it's such a great way of showing to people that may have just grown up with Robot Wars that hey, it's not just the UK that does robots. But anyway, to talk about Robot Wars, my number 3 is Series 5. Which is honestly, I would say a perfect example of the classic series. It's just in the peak for me of Robot Wars because you had the old favorites that were classics already still in their prime. You still had Chaos 2 flipping everything out of the arena. You still had Hypnodisc tearing everything a new ass. You still had Razor, who finally got to be worthy of the hype. And for a lot of people, that's the reason why Series 5 is their favorite, because Razor won. That's it. You also had just some great, brilliant fights, and you also had some of the new guard coming in. Like we saw Fluffy, which debuted this whole new style of spinner, which nowadays is the way to do a spinner. And Fluffy had an amazing debut. In the same episode as Terahertz, which is now the thing everyone thinks of when they think of axes. You had these, you also had Big Nipper in there, and okay, yes, these new guys weren't doing all that good, but they were just the sign of the start of what was to come. Big Nipper even gave Razor a scare in his first fight, so people realized, oh wait, maybe this thing's actually pretty good. They had all these different amazing swords, and it has the best out of the arena flip in all of Robot Combat. There will be no arguments. Really big cheese on Axaw is just perfect. Just
fair,
straight up middle of the arena. Bye. So beautifully perfect.
Seriously, we were just talking about this when we were doing episode 3. There probably isn't another flip in Robot Combat with the distance and height.
Yeah.
And you have Falco almost hit the ceiling against Hydra when they both combined like a self-riding with a Hydra flip. There's a bunch of good forward throws, especially from like vertical spinners. This was like middle of the arena,
Exactly.
up,
Just like
almost towards the sky cam, out.
Yeah, middle of the arena, just like Axel gets that one tiny hit in the flipper, and really she's like, "You're gonna regret that." Bye. So perfect. And he also had Crustacean in that had a brilliant rookie year as well. Crustacean and Fluffy had just such perfect debuts because you had Crustacean that looked so gimmicky with just these little crab claws that operated in the best way ever, and like it gets that perfect grab on Behemoth. And then Fluffy comes along saying, "Hi 101, you're dead. Terahertz, you're dead. Pussycat, you're almost dead." Like that's still a good fight as well, Pussycat and Fluffy. Because Fluffy almost won. Like Fluffy almost like completely annihilated the second seed. And like even outside of the heats, you also had like going forward you had the brilliant fights like the semi-finals, and everyone knows the final bit with Bigger Brother and Hypnodisc. Hypnodisc just doing what it does against Bigger Brother, and everyone's thinking, okay, finally, Hypnodisc v Razor. It's happening. It's happening. Wait, what happened? Wait.
And
wait, what? Like, I know some people will probably hate Bigger Brother. For me, Robot Wars Series 5 was the peak of classic Robot Wars, because this may get me lambasted by people in the comments or anything like that, but from there, personally, it went downhill. Like Series 6 was okay, but it had some like real bullshit. And Series 7 for me is just like kind of garbage.
I had no soul.
It has some good stuff to it, but overall, just like not good. Like especially because the Series 7, even like out of the arenas lost their novelty, because like one was happening pretty much every episode, and then.
It was just like everyone
was able to do them. Like, don't get me wrong, there was some impressive who's there, like fucking Exterminator just yeeting stuff out with a vertical spinner, which we never seen before, aside from Matilda.
Well.
This was the first time we saw it in a competitive robot being able to do it. And like Storm 2, as much as I hate that robot, I want it to die. I'll happily admit the whole brute force is impressive.
Oh man, Steel Avenger, absolutely. There's a lot of buffoonery as well, a lot of producer hijinks in Series 7, probably more than any other series, and that sours it a lot too. Series 5, it's straight cut. You don't hear many of those stories. You know, this was before the whole Tornado Cage saga. Tornado was over here getting pitted by Diotor. This was the rise of S3 as well. Yeah. S3 was fantastic. Probably one of the first real verts.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, like Series 5 is just the peak for me in terms of every robot there. Like even the robots that were objectively terrible, they're still kind of laughable. Like
they had their charm.
Like Tartan Terror is just an upturned barrel. That's hilarious. And like you also had like
Granny's Revenge.
Yeah, Granny's Revenge. Robo Chicken.
Right. Was this Rougher Up Dougal's debut?
Oh yeah, it's also Dougal. Yes, the doggo. We all love the doggo. In this house, we stand a king. Rough
That's
Dougal.
Weird flywheel spike.
Yes.
Of that weapon. Yeah, Series 5, a fantastic series. Now we move on to our 2s. A unique tie to all of our number 2s here. Interesting. Here we go. My number 2, BattleBots 2018. Even though this was the third reboot season, year of absence between 2016 and 2018 felt like that same 12 years we waited from 5.0 to BattleBots 2015. This event itself, it really felt like the reboot of BattleBots was getting its stride, and it was establishing a serious identity to itself, which made it a full-on fixture in Discovery, and its numbers are still only growing. I remember when the season was announced, 2018, it was just after my birthday, and I almost ended up getting tickets, but I was like, nope, that's too impulsive, I'm not going to hop on it. I'm going to wait one more year. The very first episode, though, is probably, in my opinion, the best episode in BattleBots history. Both Blacksmith vs. Bite Force and Tombstone vs. Minotaur were easily top-tier robot fights. Like I've said before in the previous episode, Mecha Rampage versus Duck versus Free Shipping, greatest robot fight of all time. Won't hear any debate otherwise. You know, then the same moments just didn't stop in even episode 1. Just a few more episodes forward, you had stuff like Tombstone and Ice Wave ripping Gigabyte and Vanquish respectively in 2. Managing to knock out Witch Doctor in under a minute. Rise of Sawblaze, which I believe won 4 fights in the span of 5 episodes at one point. And of course, my favorite robot, Bronco, having its best run since 2015, 4-0, looking crazy dominant in the regular season. And Warhead, like I brought up in the first episode we did, absolutely stole the show that year. Count the Blacksmith fight. and it's going 4-0, and only other robots that were going 4-0 were Tombstone, Bite Force, and Bronco, like I just said. It was only stopped by Whiplash, who stopped it from having that perfect season, which left Warhead the choice to pull out of the playoffs due to not having the spinner attachment, which ended up being a perfect send-off to the legendary robot. And along with Warhead, it was the rise of a ton of fantastic robots, which ended up becoming staples of the Discovery BattleBots. New robots of 2018, total breakouts like Shipping, Duck, Huge, Monsoon, Whiplash, Double Jeopardy, and Sawblaze, and Scorpios, just to name a few. They all really got their stride or debuted that year. Double Jeopardy, yeah, for sure.
They're going to get a win this year. Mark my words.
I hope it gets a win this year. I'll be sad if it doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
When I was doing that info sheet, they were easily the one robot that had like the most, maybe like go, wow, oh, that actually looks good. Man, they had all sorts of details on that robot. The Desperado tournament as well. That was a fantastic idea. And I think it opened up. Oh man, it was so good. It was better than just having a bunch of wild cards just smandered around. That just left debate and frustration. While this left some debate, especially like you look at 2019's Desperado. I don't know if Black Dragon should have ever been in there to begin with. They were 2-1. But, I mean, it was a fantastic idea. It opened up BattleBots to the concept of single-episode tournaments. That being pretty good because these recent Bounty Hunter episodes are probably some of the best episodes BattleBots has ever produced.
Yeah.
The two right robots, they made the final two. Force and Minotaur, easily the two best robots that year. You know, if you look outside of the stain, the one stay on this series, that Last Chance Rumble, I mean, it's probably the best BattleBots season, in my opinion.
I mean, Last Chance Rumble was still like a fun fight. It just... The rules put in place for it were poorly written. That's what it comes down to.
Poorly described. Yeah, yes, that's true. I mean, Red Devil getting its trap ripped off violently by a bombshell.
Yeah, he also had Valkyrie as well, did it? And Valkyrie's
as well. Speaking of Valkyrie, I remember shoving Valkyrie into Gigabyte, using the dead Gigabyte as like a hazard in that fight.
Oh, yeah.
It was a really good fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the Rumbles in 2018. You know, even though the only really good Rumble was that first one, Sharko versus Kraken versus Deviled Egg was still an entertaining one. Same with Basilisk versus X Backwards versus Deviled Egg, and another really good one. No. I mean, look.
No.
Okay, look. Awful judge's decision, but the fight was okay.
I know, but the judge's decision ruins it because X Backwards should have won that.
I agree. It should have won that. It wasn't even close. It was probably the worst judge's decision that year.
Like X Backwards,
Bombshells was.
The air like a few times. Like it wasn't just like a close thing. Like Deviled Egg didn't really do anything. They attacked Basilisk already dead.
Yeah, that was not a good fight. And then let me see. There was another Rumble. Oh yeah, probably the second best Rumble was Valkyrie versus Predator versus Balespear. And even though Predator died after one hit, Balespear versus Valkyrie alone was spectacular. Having Earl Pentecost screaming like he was Martin Mason before Martin Mason. Going until I think he got all four wheels off, didn't they?
Yeah, and then like when he had all four wheels off, John Remar's like, "I'm gonna need to see some movement." It's like, bro, chill.
Yeah.
Full head crawler, just hold myself around my flipper, my lifter, my poker arm. There you go.
Yeah, just give me some movement. I don't care how you do it.
Yeah, absolutely love BattleBots 2018. The best season, in my opinion. But now, the BattleBots with 2 in their name train continues. What's your number 2, Pory?
My number 2 is going to be Season 2.0. Back then, I just started getting the internet at that point, and I would just go on the BattleBots website all the time and just look at the pictures of the robots. I'd be like, what the heck happened to, I'm trying to think of a one-off, robot that never made TV. I'd be like, oh, what the hell is Stubot? There's just a lot of, shrouded mystery around the season. Doorstop. And, back then, there's just a lot of really fun fights, a lot of new tech showing up, Complete Control, doing the first, real suplex in Robot Combat, and it was just really freaking wonderful. And that was when BattleBots toys were starting to show up at stores and stuff. So I was buying all the toys too. It was just a really great time to be a Robot Combat fan.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it was so big. They even showed Vegas was doing bets on the event, stuff like that. I think all the 2.0, all the BattleBots toys from the Comedy Central era made by Pacific, they were all based off the 2.0 versions. I find fascinating.
Yeah, as long as it wasn't like a one, like the Grendel obviously is obviously 1.0 bot, but like most of them were
was
just
Grendel not
based
in
on the
2.0?
2.0.
Oh, that's right.
No,
because they had
Grendel was
Z.
revision Z. Yeah.
That's right. Oh man, but yeah, what a fantastic season. And talking about Revision Z, I know we talked about the Super Heavyweight Rumble already last episode. Another really good Rumble from that season was the Heavyweight Rumble, which is probably the closest we'll ever get to a BattleBots versus Robot Wars fight. Because there was like what 5 machines from the UK in that fight. It was quite a few.
Yeah. He had Killer Herd, Suicidal Tendencies. Mortis was in there, I think.
Panic Attack was in there.
Panic Attack, and I think there was someone else. Iron Eagle was in there.
Iron Eagle, truly international.
Yeah.
I don't think Iron
The
Eagle
only Japanese robot to ever compete in BattleBots.
ever anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Well, the King of Bots 2 had a Japanese entry. I don't know if any of the other
They had
I forgot the name.
I forgot what it was called. Triple Ninjas or something like that. It was a goofy cluster bot.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. They did have a Japanese bot. I wonder how those bots came to be, especially Iron Eagle, because there's like BattleBots was barely even really known in UK. I mean, outside the big UK teams, what did they figure out? They'd bring a whole heavyweight, not even a lightweight.
Yeah, heavyweight robot. Yeah. They were apparently supposed to do a second one for season 3.0, but it just never happened.
I wish they stuck around. Iron Eagle's a weird little anomaly of a bot.
We need Iron Eagle at BattleBots 2022. I think that would be fair.
Oh man, that has to be make it happen. Find the old
Find
Iron
the
Eagle
builder.
team. Let them be the sensei. Let them be in charge and take control. Take control of the new Iron Beagle or something like that.
Iron Beagle, yeah, that'd be pretty sick. But yeah, 2.0 just had so much going for it. Had all these really great rumbles. Like a lot of the championships are really exciting. Like the lightweight championship was the 1.0 champion being dethroned in the final. The heavyweight champion was also that. Then the super heavyweight championship was Dissector. Taking out the robot that took out the 1.0 champ and.
Right.
Well, the middleweights existed,
Yeah, Spaz won that. You can't say as much about that.
Spaz won a champion.
It was also the debut of Chinkilla.
Yeah, it was. It was the debut of Chinkilla, and that was when you were starting to see actual celebrity representation in the sport and stuff.
At the end, you had Bill Nye in every episode. Comedy Central BattleBots was strange, but it was always pretty stacked. It was a unique show.
It was definitely one of a kind, and it was just 2.0. It was just really lovely.
I have a soft spot for 2.0 because I started doing stuff on YouTube. I remember I was the first person, I guess, to find this Pirate Bay rep of BattleBots 2.0, and I was one of those episodes in full on YouTube. I was like, why don't I do this? What's the worst that could happen? Like I think two of them got like 1 million views, stuff like that. It was
nice,
really neat, right? I mean, I didn't get no money off it, but what are you gonna do? Now they got deleted. That whole account got deleted because
YouTube's run by favelas.
Right, total favelas.
Yeah.
Moving on to our trio of twos here. Let's go to your number 2, Prime.
Okay, my number 2. Whilst yes, I still can't watch it in Britain unless I become a Yar Harfield pirate. BattleBots 2020. Holy hell! So many good fights. Don't get me wrong.
They made the most of their situation.
Yeah. They made the most of the situation of there only being the one or two internationals. They made the most of that, and just had so many incredible fights there. There were very few robots in that whole season where you couldn't name at least one fight they had which was good. Beta had a really controversial season, but it had a great fight against Grabot.
They still showed up and landed those hammer hits we wanted to see. Maybe not as much as we would have liked, but they were still there. And they showed up.
Exactly.
They had a good record.
Mm-hmm. You had the man, the meme, the legend, Rusty as well. Mm-hmm. You had full trans rights, which is hell yes. We love positive representation. Yes, the robot wasn't that good, but positive representation is always good.
Sparkanaut could have been good if it was built in if it took longer to build than a month. I mean, that's really what it came down to. It was just a rush build. But I mean, she definitely has talent in robotics. She just give it more time.
Yep. You also had the return of Chomp as the absolute Giga Chonk Chad, with being the only walker, and it was amazing. You had so many cool debutants that season as well, and so many of them are just fan favorites now. you had like by far one of the things I like the most about BattleBots 2020 is it fully got rid of the hatred I had for Uppercut. Like Uppercut, I didn't like it at first. I just thought it looked awful. Like visually, it was terrible in 2019, and just like I just didn't. And I felt, and because I was such a fan of Railgun Max, I felt it just didn't deserve that number 16 seed, and it just destroyed everything.
It was amazing,
and it was just brilliant. And like, there was a lot of controversies in 2020. I will be the first to admit that. Like the Hydra v Huge fight made me hate Hydra, but like,
oh yeah,
like I said, like every single robot had at least one fight that was brilliant, and so I honestly can't fault it. Plus, it's an ingenious decision by BattleBots to make it top 32 instead of top 16 because it really helps make you just care about every single part of the bracket. And international champion, hell yeah, Endgame. What a run from them! Like starting the season by just hey, we're gonna fight Tombstone. You guys are gonna die. You're just being way too confident and playing up the cocky character. No, we're gonna actually fucking kill him.
They did,
and they did exactly that.
Seconds,
exactly. Like this was a season in a time which has been very tough on a lot of people. And it just, like, opened everyone's eyes. Like, pretty much every robot there that hadn't proven itself in prior seasons had at least one fight where everyone went, oh, I see. And, like, don't get me wrong, again, there's plenty of bad robots there, but there's also a lot of good ones. And
robot had charm.
I'm looking each robot had charm, even the ones I don't like. Like, I don't like Perfect Phoenix at all, but I can respect the fact that it's part of BattleBots history.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I feel like I mentioned with Swarkanok, like a lot of the robots that weren't great were pretty much all rush builds. Like they were all rush builds, but they still made the most of it, and they still had like good fights. But like a lot of them were like teams that definitely have shown that they have potential. Like Pain Train, for example. I do think Pain Train is going to have a solid run in this upcoming season. Pain Train is the dark horse of 2021. And also we had my number 2 fight of all time in this season, Huge and Mammoth. Like I know I didn't get to mention my fights in like the previous episode because I wasn't there, but Huge and Mammoth is up there for those who are wondering what my list was. I think Redman mentioned Huge Mammoth on his list.
Because it's a damn good fight. Yeah, and like don't get me wrong, like my favorite BattleBot of all time, like Black Dragon, didn't have the best season. It had quite a bit of controversy in it. But it still had a brilliant season, and hey, it's top 4. I'm gonna love that no matter what.
Well, if you make
the only controversy you really had was
Kraken's fight.
Kraken, like that was other than that.
And then it had the Ribot fight, which was just brilliant for me. Like
best people fight in robot history.
Hell yeah! Just like everyone just seeing Black Dragon on fire is like, okay, it's gonna die, right? So this is Ribot's fight, right? Wait, why is Black Dragon still going? Wait, how is it still going? What?
We'll get him next time.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Ribot season was a miracle.
Ribot's going all the way this upcoming season. You'll see.
It has a shot for sure. I really wanted on the King of Draft. Talking about Uppercut, that's why I like King of Draft so much. It made me love Uppercut this year. They had such a fantastic year, like you said, obliterating Sawblaze, sending Gemini.
Obliterated Yeah, and he also got to hijinks out in like a couple of seconds.
Oh my god, that was a beautiful Uda. We still managed to have
so many good fights in 2020. That's why it is my favorite.
The bounty tournaments. The bounty tournaments, which is probably one of the best ideas in years.
Yeah, the bounty tournaments is also a great idea of bringing in like more classic stuff without having to.
You don't have to worry about them committing to a whole schedule. It's like a cameo appearance. I don't know if they're gonna have cameo bots like that this year. I heard that they're just going to do the ones that won the bounties last year or defended their title. A lot of those COVID rookies really made the most of the occasion. A lot of them, like Jackpot and Rusty, managed to make themselves mainstays.
Yeah, Jackpot had another like Cinderella season, and that was amazing to see.
Great.
I love his fight against Ghost Raptor.
Those are Jackpot and Rusty. Those really are the 2 bots people need right now because there's a lot of controversy, a lot of discussion in the sport. Like this is becoming not the people in the sheds anymore. It's becoming the people with the CNC shops and the whole place is just to build machines. And you have Rusty, who's literally looked at as a joke bot, still managed to hold its own as a real tank. And Jackpot, which was the cheapest robot present, Still managed to make top 32. Undefeated regular season. It was a great season with a bunch of great stories. Boy, there was a lot of people coming into that year like, oh, this is going to be, we're going to put an asterisk on this year. Tell that's
I wouldn't.
It's like Endgame and Black Dragon. Fantastic event. Now let's move on to the ones we want to hear. Our number ones. Number one shouldn't be too surprising. I feel like I bring it up a lot. So hopefully this will be the last time, and for a while that you will hear me talk about this series, because I know I've boasted about it a lot in these first 2 episodes. My number one is the 1998 Robot Wars UK Heavyweight Championship, or best series of Robot Wars, the best event of robot combat ever. Promise there's no nostalgia or bias in there whatsoever. I love series of Robot Wars. I love Robot Wars Series 1, don't get me wrong, but this is the one I first saw when I was a kid. KERA. Before BattleBots, before anything, I saw this series. Vercingetorix versus Hardbark was screaming fire at the TV in diapers. It sucked me in at the youngest age possible. I mean, the trials and the gauntlets, they're exactly why I love shows like Robotica so much. I mean, I love seeing fighting robots tackle things beyond combat. And in this era, especially in the UK, where they were still getting their feet wet with robot combat, gauntlets and the trials where they were absolutely needed, and it probably should have stuck around a year longer given the quality of the Series 3 bots. But trials like Soccer, Sumo, and Skittles, they always got me excited. And even, especially when they busted out the random features. I love the random set pieces of Robot War Series these early seasons. You have the giant steel ball he would throw in the gauntlet and the pinball trial. The pendulum spike, that big square spike that would just always be floating around ominously. The arena pyramids, the ramp, house robots. And speaking of the robots, many amazing robots started their career at this event. And Team Firestorm, King Buxton, Chaos, Behemoth, Razor, eventual champion Panic Attack, Cassia, and robots like an Oblivion, Demon, Havoc, Enzyme. You know, a lot of these mid-tier robots, which even I still love so much. And even the bum bots, even the losers that went out like that in seconds, like Brute, Megahertz, Phoenix, Elvis, Tender Caress, Rocks, Rampage, all these machines. Elvis is so cool. We need a bot like Elvis.
Bro, Elvis is the robot. Let's be real.
Series 1 Elvis had a fun idea, but Series 2 Elvis with a front flipper, oh man, that thing, the way too accurate Elvis head that always got melted into some abomination. I always imagine Banshee. I don't know if y'all have seen these or you have seen Series 4 yet, Pory, but there's a full body spinner named Banshee there. That's a lot like Elvis.
I've seen it like years ago. I haven't seen it in a while though.
As a kid, I thought it was like Elvis like melted. I saw the Series 4 episode of Grand Champions.
I mean, Elvis is such a popular robot that the Sopranos watch it fight.
Oh my god, yeah. It stopped Tony Soprano in his tracks from his mob busy.
It's true.
My boy Tony Soprano on that public access KERA watching the BBC block. You gotta respect it.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
My boy Elvis tackled the gauntlet, but yeah. This was also the introduction of 2 big names in Robot Wars folklore. Greg Charles and Sir Kill-A-Lot, who both became big focal points of the series.
Oh, yeah. This series started some icons. This one started certain icons, like especially Sir Kill-A-Lot, who is synonymous.
Right? You had that first shot of Craig putting the steel pipe in Sir Kill-A-Lot's claw, and it just crackling it like nothing. And you see it grabbing robots, doing its full signature Kill-A-Lot spin, throwing them around.
Mm-hmm.
The old mask, I like it much more. The new Sir Kill-A-Lot from the reboot looked awesome. Don't get me wrong, but I love the old Knight helmet.
Yeah, I prefer the old one for sure.
Yeah, this was, like I said, this was a series that got me into robot combat at like age 1 or 2. Like I said, the very first spot I saw, Vercingetorix versus Hardbark. I mean, a good 60% of my all-time favorite robots, especially my top 10, were from this series. Razor and GBH, which I talked about in my first episode. GBH, the granddaddy of them all. Everyone loves GBH. I had pretty much all of Robot Wars Series 2 on VHS back then, and I wish I still had it today. And, you know, I'll never forget moments like Panic Attack being axed by Shunt, GBH flipping Ivanhoe, such a urethral experience, and Cassius self-riding, Elvis being Elvis, not dying immediately, which was nice. We got to have a bit of Elvis this season. And I mean, the entire series was just a blend of excitement, fun, nostalgia. I mean, I want another Gauntlet and Trials event. I don't care if it's like a 3-pound robot event. Someone needs to do one, because I want to see robots do.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's my TED Talk. That's my speech on why Robot Wars Series 2, even though all the robots barely worked, is the best series.
Tell us about GBH versus Ivanhoe now.
Again? I already went on about it like 5 minutes, and Episode 1. I can't be boring everyone. I don't know what more there is to say about GBH. I guess I didn't go too much into detail about how I got screwed in semifinal B. It was doing fine. It was driving perfectly fine, doing its thing, busting down some barrels, moving the sphere, trying to go up the ramp, taking out the blocks, and Sir Kellogg's, maybe I should grab this robot and we can't have this thing win. Can't have this beautiful gradient bubble of a robot win this series. We gotta have Panic Attack win. They said they were gonna donate the winnings to charity or something. You can't have GBH win.
I mean, but Panic Attack winning is just like it's good, and why we absolutely should have had Panic Attack versus Chaos 2. That's the one fight I want more than anything else, but we never got it.
That really never happened?
Never, and I'm sad about it.
It's one of those things you just don't think about because they've both been around for so long. You just assume they've met. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, Series 2. Also shouts to Dreadnought. I like Dreadnought a lot. I like the big bumblebee-looking energy it has. I don't know. If you keep leaving me to talk about Series 2, I'll keep thinking of random robots, and I'll gush over them. So let's move on to your number 2. Your number 1, Pori.
My number 1 is BattleBots 2019.
Yes, the one I was at.
I just think it's a perfect season. It has so many cool robots. It was the debut of a lot of my all-time favorites, like future 2021 champion Ribot, Railgun Max, Deep Six.
Railgun Max, Deep Six. Also Rainbow. Yeah. Fucking love
Rainbow.
Yeah. It was a big
Rainbow.
deal.
It had Rainbow versus Extinguisher versus Double Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say, in regards to Rainbow, I love that is the first Russian robot that BattleBots had, because you hear Russian robot, everyone has a certain feeling about that idea.
Yeah,
like everyone is expecting something something that's not Rainbow.
Yeah, Rainbow is not what you would expect.
Exactly, and I love that because Russia's got a lot of issues with LGBT stuff, and then the first Russian robot is like Rainbow Bar. Everyone's dressed up in MLP onesies. It's brilliant.
Because they literally wanted to call it Pinkie Pie.
Exactly, I love it.
It had MLP characters painted on it initially.
Yeah, I may not be fully in the Brony community anymore, but I love that a Brony robot was the first Russian robot. It's just so perfect.
It properly fought to get onto BattleBots too. It did really good at that 2018 Russian event. The only robot there that actually showed competitive promise, and it held its own. I mean, besides the Yeti fight, which was just brutal.
Yeah,
2-1, that's not bad.
Yeah, I love Rainbow.
Yeah, I would love to see them come back with some improvements. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, hopefully Pippa Robotov happens this year, and they can start doing that again.
Oh yeah, 2019 though, it was such a stacked lineup, and it had all sorts of. I mean, they even introduced Black Dragon, Uppercut, Bloodsport.
Black Dragon is still my day.
Yeah, Black Dragon.
Of all the BattleBots robots, I know Huge was in my top 5 of all time, but that's because it represents what I like about Robot Combat, where there's no perfect design. I'm sorry, but Black Dragon is big.
And you had and in my opinion, I think that 2019 had the better Desperado for sure. I mean, the Minotaur Black Dragon final.
Oh yeah,
And again, match in the final. You could have asked for a better final.
I already knew, looking at the lineup of BattleBots, there was no way they weren't going to do Black Dragon versus Minotaur, and I'm so glad that was the Desperado final. And it is my favorite fight of all time. It is the fight. It's one of the fights I'll show to someone who doesn't know what Robot Combat is, what Robot Combat's all about.
Oh yeah,
it's just so good.
And then you got and then even the bracket itself was a lot of fun. You had Witch Doctor's run was really neat, and Death Roll's run.
I love Death Roll's run. That's the Warhead run of that year, the real Cinderella run.
Oh yeah, that was the Cinderella run for sure. And you had Tombstone versus Rotator. You had that fight. You had so many really memorable, awesome fights. You had robots you had four robots that got split in half that season. You had
Mad Catter every other time. Warhawk.
That was a great debut for Railgun Max against Mad Catter. I love that fight.
Oh yeah, that was a great showcase of that.
Yeah, I will say though, for Mad Catter, as much as they'll probably be upset about that thing, they kind of had it coming, being looking like a Nintendo Switch. You're gonna you're gonna pull the controllers apart.
Right.
But yeah, we had that. You had the final was really good. You had the greatest rumble ever with the 2v2
2v2 was
in the last episode. Plus, you
Humongous
had good
machine
exhibition
guy
matches too. You
Oh
had
yeah. Kraken
Black
versus
Dragon
sorry,
Scorpios.
Dragon
Mm-hmm.
Scorpius. That's the one. Duck and Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
The Duck and Endgame. You had Sharko versus Bloodsport. Sharko versus future 2021 champion Ribot. You even had Nightmare show up to fight Mammoth. Like,
Oh yeah, that was a good fight.
How about Mammoth? Like, Mammoth debuts. Everyone's like, yeah, that won't work. And then Uda's acts backwards in its first fight.
Yeah, I love it.
That 2019 field was just so stacked. I mean,
Oh yeah,
the
Combot
2016
was there,
was
and
stacked.
Combot was just.
Cobalt was there. They had both of King of Boss' champions there. They had Quantum and Cobalt in attendance. Had the FMB champion Endgame. They had a lot of the all-stars from that recent Orlando Maker Fair, because Mammoth, who was like the breakout robot from that, shot managed to get itself in. There was no wasted space on the roster. It was super stacked. So like a few outliers like Daisy Cutter, which on its own still promised to like they had big promises for that robot. I'm really upset we never saw did Flamethrower. Gruff, that was another really notable robot, which made
Gruff had a great debut and should have won against Tombstone.
Shattered.
I don't feel that bad now since Tombstone got its like a proper win on it. You can sleep on that fight. Breaker Box finally got its chance to fight on television. That was a cool one. Same with Falcon. Hydra made its debut. It was a fantastic season. Yeah, now we're moving on to our final series. So it's a bit of a sandwich here. We're starting with what we finished with. What is your number one, Prime?
My number one is Robot Wars Series 10. If Robot Wars was to never ever return, I'd be happy knowing that Robot Wars Series 10 was the one they ended on. Because don't get me wrong, the field spread was very small, but it had just so many great fights. You had pretty much the entire the whole of Britain standing in ovation for Behemoth finally winning a heat. Exactly. As you had a ridiculously stacked Heat B, which inspired Huge. I'm gonna make sure that's on record that Gabriel in that fight inspired Huge
for sure.
You also had Big Nipper just sealing with one of those cluster bots. Eruption doing as Eruption did in that heat. You also had Rapid finally living up to the hype. You also had just overall, it was just such a good grid.
It's great. I was really skeptic at first when they said it was going to be a 30 robot field. There was no wasted space on that field. Every robot had
there was no real and you also have you also have Magnetar, which, as everyone knows now, is my second favorite robot. It's so pretty and had such a good season. And then the Robot Rumble was brilliant, and Eruption is a worthy champion in my mind.
Absolutely.
And you also had Nuts as well. Nuts was amazing in that season, and Roy Mangles' expressions as well, so good. Just the end of that grand final fight, where he just looks so confused at winning, is just the best. It's such meme potential.
Right?
Amazing.
That's what's on some voodoo, that series. The amount of snipes they managed.
Oh yeah.
And 2 episodes just of robot combat.
Exactly.
What's going on? This is some Doctor level black magic. This is
insane. They did quite literal 360 no scopes. It's amazing.
Took out concussion twice. Absolutely gutted Andro.
Yeah.
The Chorus Carbide.
I know people have problems with the international special, but that was also brilliant. There was a whole bunch of stock robots, but Theator was back.
It was fun.
In your classic series references, you actually got to see the classic series stuff in the modern series. It's brilliant. They added they had a good use for the host as well, with the reactions as well as the interviews. You had some great middle segments as well, talking about the guy who made a real life Iron Man suit, pretty much. You had just so many cool stuff with that series, and I'm so glad that Robot Wars ended with a bang and not a whimper, because it was all brilliant.
It totally ended with that Eruption fight and not with any extra episodes.
Yes, I still like the international special things, but
you're European. That's easy for you to say. Us Yanks have a certain opinion about that.
The international series is definitely good. And, the international specials they're all right. But just watch them before the regular series. That might work.
Yeah, they canonically happen before. They just
Yes.
stripped off all that British paint.
100%.
One-offs, really good one-offs like Traction and
Mhm.
Androne and Expulsion.
Oh, yeah.
I wish those robots stuck around the live scene, especially
yeah.
Androne.
Oh yeah, I
That
wish
had-
Androne was around longer because like
Proper Crusher.
we finally had a good Crusher, and then Spectre came along, just like yeah, no, I'll have that battle on, please.
I would love to see Androne. You know,
Oh, yeah.
especially in the live
Androne
scene, I
would be
think they
nice.
could probably flourish like Tiberius did for a while in it. So that concludes our series of top 3, top 4, and top 5 lists, and our first set of episodes here at the Combot Collective. We have now concluded our introductory countdowns, and like we said, next week we will be here on camera, ready to roll, and everyone will get to see my lovely mug as we go into the studio setup. Like I said earlier, we will be kicking off next week with our analysis and reactions to the recent Robot Ruckus 2021 event in Orlando. Followed by that, probably in the week after, it will be Robots Live in Crawley. Over the course of the December month and hopefully the end of November, we'll have our Robots 2021 previews. And also in December, the Norwalk Finals analysis. That's all coming up that you can look forward from us at the Combot Collective. Once again, you can hear about all of our updates. Podcast episodes are going to come out by following our social media on Facebook or Instagram and by joining our Discord community in the links on those social media pages. I am Sterling Brown or Sterling TXTG on Instagram, Query to 300th in Robot Combat communities on the Combot Collective, and doing hopefully another series here at the Combot Collective soon enough on our YouTube page. Along with that, in early 2022, I want to be streaming, vlogging, and set to do another podcast. So hopefully you can see a lot of me down the line. What about you, Por? Do you have anything you're trying to put over here before we roll out?
Yeah, I mean, if you like what I do, you can, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, PoryNog, all one word. I also have a YouTube channel where I do videos on BattleBot stuff, as well as really stupid retro gaming videos. You can find that at www.dippyegg.xyz.
And what about you, Prime? Do you have anything?
Yeah, I am planning on doing like YouTube videos as well. So if you like this voice and want to hear it talk about like turning basic concepts into Dead by Daylight chapters or Mortal Kombat characters or Monster Hunter Monsters or anything like that, just you can go to my channel and then you can.
That's been my team this week, and that wraps up our first chapter here at the Combot Collective, and we cannot wait to see you next week in the brand new studio talking about Robot Ruckus and BattleBots 2021. Once again, you can watch, download, rate, and review our podcast and our YouTube show on, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, Player FM, Stitcher, Podchaser, and Deezer. Our intro and outro now playing is done by our own team member, Sevalant. We thank you so much for tuning into the Combot Collective as we enter this new chapter, and we will see you next time.
This was the Combot Collective. Find us on Instagram and Discord.